Weeks of protests that culminated into a violent takeover of the presidential palace and Ranil Wickremesinghe's house being set on fire finally brought desired results for Sri Lankans as Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who had secretly fled the country amid the turmoil, stepped down. People are now also calling for the resignation of Ranil Wickremesinghe, who has been appointed as acting president for the meantime. And while this anti-establishment struggle is being hailed as people's victory, observers say the island nation still stares at a bumpy road and it needs to tread cautiously to pull itself out of the crisis.
News that Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa submitted a letter of resignation triggered jubilation in the commercial capital Colombo, where protesters massed outside the presidential secretariat, defying a citywide curfew. Crowds set off firecrackers, shouted slogans and danced ecstatically at the Gotabaya protest site, named mockingly after Rajapaksa's first name. Rajapaksa submitted his resignation by email late this Thursday. As per different media reports, Rajapaksa fled to the Maldives on Wednesday, then headed on to Singapore on Thursday on a Saudi Arabian airline flight. Earlier, Rajapaksa's decision to make his ally Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe the acting president triggered more protests, with demonstrators storming Parliament and the Premier's office demanding that he quit too.
The whole country will celebrate today because it's a big victory. Actually, this Rajapaksa corrupted family, we never thought we will get this country free from them. That much we were struggling, and they were hitting us, they were hitting from the tear gas, they were shooting us. There are so many people who are in the hospitals, people were dying. Still, people never give up this peace protest. So finally we won one mission, and there's another mission, and there will be more missions on behalf of the country. We will not going to be stopped. We are going to protest against all of the corrupted leaders who is going to see it in the future. Thank you.
Protests against the economic crisis have simmered for months and came to a head last weekend when hundreds of thousands of people took over government buildings in Colombo, blaming the Rajapaksa family and allies for runaway inflation, shortages of basic goods and corruption. Sri Lanka defaulted on its $51 billion of international debt in May after years of heavy borrowing and tax cuts by the government, plus the damaging impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Meanwhile, US Secretary of Treasury Janet Yellen urged China to be more participative in restructuring Sri Lanka's debt. Yellen said she would urge other members of the group of 20 major economies to put pressure on China to be more cooperative in long-stalled efforts to restructure the debts of countries in debt distress, including Sri Lanka.
We're really looking to China to step up their role in debt restructurings that are eligible for treatment under the common framework. We've not seen much progress, and part of what I expect to do over the next several days is urge our partners and in the G20 to put pressure on China to be more cooperative in restructuring these unsustainable debts. China is, of course, a very important creditor of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is clearly unable to repay that debt, and it's my hope that China will be willing to work with Sri Lanka to restructure the debt.
Several experts have opined that China, which is accused of debt trap policy in Sri Lanka, must step up to assist the island. Meanwhile, India and Japan have helped Sri Lanka with the former lending $3.8 billion and Japan at least $3.5 billion. The International Monetary Fund, with which Colombo is in talks for a bailout plan, said that a $1 billion loan is in the pipeline from the rich countries too. The global lending body said it will also resume talks with Colombo and will expedite the money lending process once the island nation comes out with a plan to generate adequate revenue. Experts say while Rajapaksa's departure may herald a new political journey for Sri Lanka, it is still in a deep economic crisis and countries need to come together in order to help it.